Welcome to Database Basics by Bill Hatfield. In the next couple minutes, I'm going to introduce you to the basic fundamental concepts associated with relational databases, including databases themselves, DBMSs, and tables. What is a database? A database is simply a place to store data in a structured way so that you can easily search and access the data in the future. Database vendors include IBM DB2, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, and a whole host of other folks out there who provide products that allow you to easily store and retrieve data. Now, another term that you often hear associated with databases is DBMS. DBMS simply stands for Database Management System, and this is the software that provides you with access to the database, to the actual data that you have stored. DBMS accepts commands in a language called SQL. It stands for Structured Query Language. And this is a standardized language that's used to create the data structure itself, to store data, and then to search and retrieve data later. Each database vendor has a separate version of SQL that they support. It looks pretty standardized across the board, but each vendor has their own sort of unique take on SQL, and so the syntax is slightly different from one to another. Now you can think of a DBMS like a full-service library. Instead of going out to the shelves yourself, you come up to the desk and the library says, "What do you want?" So you say, "Well, can you show me all my contacts who are over 55? The librarian then gets up, goes out, gathers together all the data, and brings it back to you and hands it to you. In this little scenario, the librarian is like the DBMS. The shelves and books and so forth represent the tables of data in your database. So the DBMS is the go-between between you and your data. Now let's talk about how data is actually stored in your databases. Database information is stored in the form of tables. A table is sort of like a spreadsheet. It has rows and columns. Each column represents a single piece of data that's stored in the table. So the column that I have highlighted here is the last name column. There's also a first name column and a phone number column. Each row then has a different value for that column. The column has a data type associated with it. So in the case of last name and first name, the data type is likely to be text. In the case of a salary or an age, the information in that case will likely be of the numeric data type. In addition to the data type, you can specify more specific restrictions on exactly what kind of data is stored. For example, the phone number here has a particular arrangement of numbers, and that arrangement could be enforced by that column. So anytime someone inserts data into this table, that column is checked to make sure that the data is formatted correctly. A row is a single instance of data in a table. So if you had a contacts table, each row would represent a separate contact. If you had an employees table, each row would represent a separate employee. So the row contains a separate value for each table column. The first name of the selected row here is John, the last name is Kane, and so forth. All of these column values together represent a single instance of data in the table.